So last time we worked on onset and rhyme, and we were substituting first the onset and then the rhyme. So I wanted to do a little bit more of that, but this was more like just a deletion activity, but I added on a component of having to read the word families that we've been working on. So this is how we did this activity. So we'd look at the picture and I would say map, and she would repeat map. And then we would pull away, we'd say map, take away what's left. And she would say app. And then I would ask her to find the letters that say app. So it was so cool because she got really fast with reading the app and being able to match it and put it in there. So, and she did each time point to the actual letters instead of like the column, which I thought was good because she wasn't looking at the picture. She was really trying to read these. So her recognition of these is getting faster in her ability to distinguish between them, even though like the recall, the ability to actually read it, that is getting faster, but not quite as quick as her ability to say app and then be like, oh, that one's app. So progress. But I thought that was a good activity because she was practicing both the phoneme deletion, but then also kind of the extension of matching it to the letters. So then again, like every time I did a little bit of spelling, and I would say a word like sap, and she'd repeat sap, sap, and then match the letters, sap, s. And I can't remember if I said this last time, but one thing that's pretty common with struggling readers is having, I forget what it's called, like phonological, something about the working memory not being as great. So I notice that a lot where like they'll be spelling the word and they'll almost like forget the word or forget where they're at when they're segmenting the sounds. Because think about how much that is. You're thinking of the word, you're breaking it up into its sound parts, and then you're matching to the letters. So you're having to recall the letter that makes that sound. So there's a lot happening. And if they don't have a strong, I think it is phonological working memory, then it's just so, it's so challenging. So something that I always train them to do, and it's interesting because they're always like hesitant to do it, is to repeat the word if they're stuck, like sap, s, and they find the S. And if they need to, repeat the word again, sap, s, ah, sap, s, ah. And again, I know that seems extreme, but it is for those extreme cases. So then I tried some of like the word chaining where you say you have sap, change one letter to make map. And now you'll have some students who are like, oh, like that's easy. But when you have a student that isn't super proficient with that skill of phoneme manipulating, it can be a challenge. So we took it a lot slower. So when we had sap, I kind of guided it for the first several of sap, sap. You want map, app. And then she'd realize, oh, this one needs to be So I kind of worked through the first couple, and then she started to do that. And then she started to recognize on her own a little bit more. So that was fun to see. I wouldn't say it got automatic, but it was, there's definite improvement. And I did not change the middle sound. I just changed the first or the last sound. So map, change to mat, mat, at. Oh, this one's wrong. I'll change that one. So that ended up being a great activity for her. Then we used these same headers to sort the words. So these were obviously all mixed up in a pile, and she would read the word, and then she would say what the word family was, and she'd sort it. And what was interesting is some of them like Pat was kind of tricky because she at first wanted to put it here, so then we could kind of talk about, like, we could do the whole p, at again, what's the word family, at, and that whole thing. And also it was just a decoding activity, giving her practice reading these words with these same word families. And we were really working on just trying to become more, I guess, fluent with how she sounds out. So instead of at, trying to at and seeing if we could get there. So this repetition ended up being a really good thing. And I've done this with small groups as well, or I often do it with small groups. And it's a great activity. And what you can do is you can give each student, you can just pass out words and have them read to themselves, whisper read it, and then go around the table and they read the word, and then together the rest of the group decides what is it at, ap, ag, etc. I love these sentence scramblers for lots of reasons. There's so much more to it than you realize. So the first thing is I have all these separately, they're out of order, and the student reads each word separately. And then they figure out, okay, so a sentence starts with a capital letter, so I know that's first, and a sentence ends with punctuation, so then I'll put that there. And then she'll reread and put the words in order. And the great thing is she ends up rereading this sentence over and over every time she picks a new word. So for example, she figured out man is next. So then she had to go back and say, a man. And then she read on a naps. A man naps. And each time she'd start the sentence over again. So it was just helping with that repetition, building that automaticity at the word level, and then hopefully in the end, fluency with the whole sentence. Here's another thing that was really cool about this. We got to the word lap, and I always ask her when she's reading each word, what do you picture or what do you think that means? So some of them, like map, she could think of just one thing. Cab, she wasn't sure what a cab was, so I explained it to her. Lap, she said, oh, there's two meanings. There's the lap, like when you're running and you go around and around, like in the jogathon. And I said, yeah, that's a lap. And she said, and then there's and she patted her lap. I said, yes, this is our lap. So then the cool thing was, I said, well, let's make the sentence. The only way to find out which one it is to read the sentence, and then we'll figure it out. So then we made the sentence, and then she was like, oh, it's the lap, it's this lap, because the map is on his lap. And then we could talk about, what do you visualize? What do you picture? Why did he have a lap on his map, or map on his lap? Because maybe he was lost, and you use a map when you're lost and it was on his lap, and maybe he was driving. So that's what I love about this activity, is it's not just sounding out words. It's not just phonics. There's so much more. There's, syntax, there's, and that semantics, that figuring out the two different definitions of lap is an activity, a semantics activity. So, and it's building vocabulary. Like cab was not a word that she knew. We did talk a little bit more about maps and why you would use them, because she was picturing just like a world map. So talking about how there's like a road map, so if you get lost. So anyway, I'm babbling now, but so many good reasons to use this, and just a lot of good came out of it. And that confidence, because this particular student is having a hard time with just sentences on a page. She's just not there yet. So this is a way for her to read sentences and practice reading sentences with a little more confidence, and she can do it.